I think many already know Tina Zaccardi. We've had her a few times and love having her join us. Originally was on site, now it's virtually. And she is the winner of the Great American Baking Show, the holiday edition, 2018, I believe, right? And I'm sure your life has changed since then, and devoting your time to baking. And you do have a Facebook, and I think you have a blog as well. So if people want to follow you, they can do so.
I'm on Instagram, I am the Italian Cookie. On Facebook, I am Tina Zaccardi Bakes, and you can find my website at tinazaccardi.com.
So I leave it to you.
Okay, so today we are making Pinoli cookies, one of those, you know, quintessential Italian cookies. The one, I mean, I remember it as the one we'd always try and grab out of the bakery box when my grandparents would come over with the cookies and the pastries from Arthur Avenue. And there weren't very many in that box because pinoli nuts can be very, expensive. It can be expensive to make. But I'm going to show you how to make almond paste, and then we're going to use it to make the cookies. And I'll just show you how really quick and easy they are. I know that you can get pine nuts in Trader Joe's, and you can also get them in Costco. The cost is pretty decent. And I would recommend, they're a very oily nut and they tend to go bad very quickly. So I would recommend that you either store them in the freezer or the refrigerator. And that'll keep them fresh, and it'll, slow down the, time that they'll go bad. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to make the almond paste, which is the key ingredient to these cookies. And it's a couple of simple ingredients. It's almond flour or ground almonds, whichever you prefer. If you get the blanched ones, you won't have the little brown flecks in them. If that's the only one you can find, it's fine. It's just, it just will have some brown flecks in it. Powdered sugar, some almond extract, and egg white. So I've got regular almond extract, the liquid, and I also found this almond extract paste. It just smells just so good. Oh, it smells just like almonds, and you use half as much. So if the recipe calls for a teaspoon, you use a half a teaspoon. So, and we're doing everything from the almond paste to the cookies in the food processor, which makes life so easy. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to put our ground almonds or almond flour in with the powdered sugar. Okay. And we're just going to pulse that like 7 to 8 times just to mix it together. Okay. And that's all incorporated. And then we're going to I'm going to use the almond extract paste today. And I'm just going to kind of eyeball it. If you like a really, in your face almond flavor, you can add a little more. If you want to hold back, you can add a little bit less. And then there's always the liquid one. And then we're going to put in the egg whites. And it's not a lot. It's 15 grams, which is about a half of an egg white. So you can make the batch as written and, take that, whatever's left of the egg white and put it in an omelet or whatever, or you could double the batch and use the whole egg white. And we're going to just pulse this a couple of times. And as you pulse, you'll start to see it come together. In fact, you can just run it now. I'm going to run it now. And just let it go until you start to see it come together. And a good way to test to see if it's ready is you take a little in your hand and you squeeze it together and it stays together. And if everybody can see that, I squeezed it and now it's holding together like paste. So we're just about there. I'm just going to give it a couple more. And I think we should be good. And I'm going to take some plastic wrap. Okay. We're going going to dump the whole thing out onto the plastic wrap. The other thing that can be very expensive is the almond paste. I've seen it as much as $7.99 or $6.99 for the 8-ounce box, and that's how much we're making. We're making 8 ounces today. So that can be really expensive. Okay, and I'm just using the plastic to kind of push it together. Kind of a little crumbly at first, but then push it together. And we're just going to knead it just a little bit to get it together and get it smooth. So if you want to answer in your chat, Giovanna, is anybody making it, and what point are you up to? If anybody is baking along. So I'm going to knead it just a couple of times until it gets nice and smooth. And we're going to kind of roll it into a log. Just like that. And there you go. You've got almond paste. This is, I mean, there's a lot of recipes out there that call for almond paste. You can wrap it really tightly in plastic. I would almost double wrap it. Put it like in an airtight, like a plastic container or a glass container, whatever. And you can keep it for, you know, a couple of weeks, maybe even longer. But just make sure that it's really wrapped well because you don't want it to dry out. So there's our almond paste. How easy was that? Is everybody up to this point right now that's baking along?
Looks like Elizabeth's baking along.
Okay. And where is she in the process?
She's going to tell us.
Okay.
So, I actually, believe it or not, made my almond paste prior to this. I made it a couple of hours ago.
Yeah, that's fine.
And so, I started everything. And so the only thing I boo-booed is I added the pine nuts into the dough instead of.
That's not, it didn't say to do that, did it? I hope not.
It did not. That was a boo-boo on my part.
Oh, okay.
I tend to make mistakes, so I'm just still trying to make little.
Okay, so
little
did you
dough.
you made the almond paste and then you made the batter for the cookies?
Yes, and then exactly, and then I instead.
You know what? They should still bake up fine. You don't need to put any pine nuts on the outside. They should still bake up fine. You're going to get a little bit of a crunch on the inside, but I would try a couple. Don't do the whole batch, but try a couple. You know, put 3 or 4 of them on a cookie sheet and bake them and see how they come. I think they should be fine. They should be fine.
I think so. Yeah. So but they look delicious.
Okay, so now that we've got our almond paste, I made some earlier today myself, so I have some. It kind of like firms up a little, and
Yes, it's amazing how it becomes like that. Yeah.
Yeah, but make sure you don't want it to be like rock hard, but make sure that you wrap it really good if you're going to make it a couple of days ahead or a week ahead. Yeah. Okay, so we're going to get going and making our cookies. So we're going to take our almond paste. I'm going to get my scale, just to see. I'm going to do ounces. Yep, 8.0 right on the dot. So we've got 8 ounces of almond paste. This will make, and a lot of recipes call for either 4 or 8, so you should be good. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take our almond paste and we're going to break it up into the food processor. It's really got a nice texture, just like that one in the box that they sell in the supermarket. It smells really good. Okay, we're going to just break this up. And to this, we're going to add granulated sugar. And we're going to mix that with a little bit more almond extract. And we're going to pulse this, and the sugar helps kind of break it up. it should look like. Kind of just like a crumbly, like that. Okay. To this, we're going to add 30 grams of egg whites, which is the size of one large egg white. So it's just the white from one egg. And we are going to pulse this until you have a smooth, it's going to be kind of a wet dough, but it's, you want to do it until it's smooth. And you can see it's already becoming a paste. Okay, you can see it's becoming a paste now. Okay, I'm going to do it just a little bit longer. I want it just a little bit smoother. Okay, I think we're good. Take it out and put it into a bowl because it's just easier to work with that way than trying to get it out of the food processor with the scoop. This is very thick. Yeah, the pine nuts in the cookie should be fine. They should bake up fine.
Great.
I'll just get the rest of this out of here. So is everybody just local, or do we have anybody from a little far away today? Just answer in the chat. Okay.
We do have some question. I read that it's important to let the egg white be at room temperature. Is that true?
You don't have to. You know, that's kind of if you're making like macarons. You don't have to wait till it gets to room temperature for these. Doesn't matter.
I guess everyone's local today.
Oh, okay. This out of the way. So we have our cookie dough. And we have our pine nuts. I'm gonna throw them out. So with the amount of pine nuts I told you to have, I like to roll mine in the pine nuts so they're totally covered. If you don't want to use that many pine nuts, you can just put the cookie on the pan and then just sprinkle a few on top. So I'll show you both ways. So we have a pan that's lined with parchment paper.
I just want to let you know I'm from Michigan watching you on my phone.
Cool. Very nice.
And we have Bedford and we have Stamford.
Stanford. Oh, that's okay. Cool. So I've got a one of these, cookie dough scoops, and this one they're numbered. If anybody didn't know that, so right on the inside of here. This is a 100. This is the size I like to use for these cookies. It's about maybe a teaspoon or two. That's the size of this. And you'd think it was a little bit of dough, but the cookies, they'll spread. So what I like to do is I like to take right there, and then I like to just drop it into the pine nuts. And I like to roll it around. And I'll take it and I'm going to put it on the pan and just press it down a little bit to get it a little flat. Everybody, look, everybody can see that sliding. You see that? Okay. So if you don't want to use that many pine nuts, what you can do is you can take the scoop, put it out onto the bowl, onto the pan, and then just take a few and just sprinkle it on. It's however you want to do it, and then press it down. Okay. And if your dough starts sticking in there, find that if you run it under water or have a bowl of water and just put the scoop in, it makes getting the cookie dough out much easier. There it goes. I'm just going to roll it around. And you should be able to get about 12 of these on the pan. I am just gonna finish this up. And we're gonna pop them in the oven. These are just really quick and easy. I mean, everybody, I think so many people, this is one of my favorites. I think they're like everybody's favorites. Next to the 3-color cookies, which is like everybody's favorite. Okay. I'm just gonna do a couple more. Okay, got room for one more. Okay. So this, you should get about 2 dozen from this one recipe. And if you like them bigger, you can make them bigger. You'll have less. If you like them smaller, you could make them smaller, but just remember if you're doing that to adjust the cooking time. Okay. I hope everybody is going to start making their own almond paste now. And a good place to get almond flour too is, again, Costco. Their almond flour is really nice. It's very good. Okay. So just remember to press them down a little bit. Here we go. Okay. I'm going to go pop them in. So they're going to go about 12 to 15 minutes. I'm going to check them at 12 just to see. I mean, if everybody's oven sometimes is a little different and runs hot and cold and everything. But I'll give you one really good tip regarding your oven. I find that I'll preheat my oven to bake something, and the number will say, "Oh, it's at 350." Okay, cool. Ready to put my tray in. So I put that first tray of cookies in, and it takes a little longer than usual to bake. I'm like, okay. And then when I put the second one in, it takes the right amount of time. So what really happens is that when you preheat your oven, even though it says it's at 350, give it another 15, 20 minutes to really get up to temperature. So I don't know if anybody's had that. I know people that tell me they, why do my cookies, bake differently? Like the first sheet to the second sheet to the third sheet, because your oven really hasn't gotten all the way up to temperature yet. So that's just a little, a good oven baking tip. So.
And your oven's at 350 now? Somebody wanted to know.
Yeah, I've had it preheating for like an hour. Just so I knew that it was at 350. And I keep an oven thermometer, one of those ones that stand up, in there all the time, just to make sure, because my oven has been giving me problems. It's like 20 years old. So I make sure I keep the thermometer in there just to make sure that it's the temperature that I want it to be. And also, people will open the door and they'll look. You'd be surprised how that temperature plummets when you're standing there with the door open. So that's another thing. Don't open that door unless you absolutely positively have to while you're baking something.
Oh. So not just for souffles, for anything.
Yeah.
Oh.
So who's got their cookies ready to go in the oven or in the oven already? Oh, the hand is up. Look at that. Who's the lady that put them in put the nuts in?
I did.
Elizabeth.
So
Elizabeth.
Yeah,
Are you making them now?
I put them in like 3 minutes ago.
Okay, good. Okay,
I'm
good.
gonna try it. I know that you said I should probably wait another 20 minutes after it's preheated, but I'm gonna give it a try.
They may take a little bit longer.
Yeah, I'm fingers crossed that they work out.
I'm sure they'll be fine.
Thanks. I have daughters that are really interested in trying them. So.
Good. Oh, good. So do we have any questions from anybody? Doesn't have to be about these. It can be about anything baking related.
I'm looking through to see if someone asked anything
I'm like
earlier.
really far. I see a question and I'm really far from my computer, so I can't read it.
It's
She
from
said
Donna.
she gets tired at baking.
What was the question?
Do you ever tire of baking?
You know, I don't. I mean, there are some days where I'm more gung-ho about it than others. I kind of never get tired of. I get tired of cleaning up though. I get tired of cleaning up. So, no, I really love to do, I love to do it. And sometimes it's kind of like, therapy for me. Like if I'm having a bad day or something, I'll bake something. So, I don't know, it kind of gives you, that sense of accomplishment or just something you can do by yourself. You just kind of get in the zone, and sometimes I don't hear anything that's going on around me when I'm doing it. So. Do we have, I think I saw 2 more pop up.
Oh, sorry. Let me see. What is the key to, the first one was a comment about varying degrees of success and failure in the past with these cookies, but I guess that the proportions are key. And then a question from Lori, what is the key to making them soft and chewy?
At the amount of time you bake them in the oven. If you like them a little softer, pull them out earlier. If you like them a little crisper, leave them in a little longer. It's pretty much baking time.
Another question, does it make a difference how you place the cookies in the oven? Sometimes it bakes better in between 2 trays, in my experience.
If you find that the bottom of your cookies are browning too quickly, it probably means that there's something with your oven where the bottom heating element is like stronger than the top one. So yes, that's a good idea. Either move them up or you can insulate them with 2 baking sheets. I find that my oven actually runs that way. I have to, sometimes instead of the middle, I have to raise it 1 more because it browns a lot. But again, my oven is like 20 years old. So in fact, it sometimes shuts itself off. I've preheated it and I come back and I find that the oven is off. So I don't know if some ghost is turning it off, or I think it's just turning it off itself. But yeah, that's what it's doing now. And it just frustrates the hell out of me because I'll be ready to put something in and I'm like, I can't believe it shut off. So everybody, you know your oven.
Donna has a question. Do you ever bake on convection? She thinks it dries them out.
Yeah, my oven has a convection setting. I don't do a lot. The only things I might do with convection are macarons because they are just so finicky and you want good airflow around the cookies so that they rise evenly and get their little feet and they're like not tilted. That's a whole nother headache, macarons. But yeah, I have it. I don't use it that often. It does, the air sometimes tends to dry out like cakes and stuff. I just use a regular setting. I have one recipe, the scones, that I actually use the convection setting. That's kind of almost the only 2 things that I'll use it for.
Any other questions?
Any other questions? I'm gonna just take a peek. I'm gonna turn the light on. I'm not gonna open it. Okay, they're cooking. Mine have like about 4.5 minutes to go.
Look, Connie would like you to talk about the competition.
Oh, okay. Like what would you like? What would you like to know? Because there's just so much. I don't even know where to begin.
I was thinking maybe, how is the pressure and, just the reality of trying to get everything done in a certain amount of time.
Okay, so yeah, you're under a lot of pressure there. You're baking in a kitchen that you don't know. an oven that you don't know, a cooktop that you don't know, but they're really good about kind of giving you a little, you know, how-to on all the equipment and everything. And you know, they're wonderful about sourcing the ingredients for you. Let's see, what else?
How did you get chosen?
You have cameras in your face all the time. You have people asking you questions all the time. So you have to be able to juggle that and keep doing what you're doing and answer the questions. As you keep going in the competition, it gets a little easier. You start to, you know, get a rapport with the producer who's following you around that day and asking you questions. So, and, you know, the one person I had for most of the time, he was fantastic. And he ended up like, I felt like he was like my younger brother. So we got that kind of a rapport going, which was really nice. And the other thing about the time constraints, they give you a legitimate amount of time to make something. Like they're not asking you to make 24 cupcakes in 15 minutes. It's just not happening. So they give you an appropriate amount of time to make whatever it is they're asking you to make. I mean, you can't like totally like mess up. And there was one time where I did have enough time to remake something, but I mean, the time is pretty tight, more tight on some challenges than others, but it's an appropriate, I found that it was an appropriate amount of time to do what we were doing, but you have to like put your head down and just do it. There is no like sitting around and waiting and oh, I'll get to that in a little bit. You just have to just keep pressing on.
And how were you chosen to be on the show?
So there's the first thing I had to do was to fill out an online questionnaire. It had like almost 80 questions. And then you submit that with a picture of yourself and a picture of some of what you've baked. In fact, I think it was like 3. And you submit that. And then from that, I guess they have people that look them over and decide who they want to call. And they call you and they talk to you for a little bit. And then if you get past that, you have like a longer conversation with one of the producers. And then you they want to do a live tasting, so you have to bring, they do them all over the country. So like, I'm lucky because one of the sites is New York City. So I'm, 25 minutes away by car. So that was easy for me to take my stuff. And then there's a live interview where you have to actually bake and they see how you react with people talking to you and cameras on you and everything. It's a process. And this wasn't my first time. I had been picked for an alternate 2 years prior to that, and I wasn't needed. And then I applied a second time, no good. And then for me, I think third time was the charm. Any other questions from anybody, baking or otherwise? I think one may have popped up. Giovanna?
Yeah, they're not showing up. I know I was putting in stuff about the next program.
Oh, see, something just.
Yes. How's the 12 days of cookies going?
Someone, okay, so on my Instagram, I started in September and I'm doing what I'm calling the 12 weeks of cookies up to like the second week of December. So I thought I'd start early because it gives everybody a chance to kind of maybe do a trial run and make the cookie and see if they like it. And because, some people do December 1st to the 12th, a lot of, you'll see a lot of online, websites and big cooking places, they'll do the 12 days of cookies. But honestly, by December, you're kind of like decided what you're baking already. It's like a little too late. Hold on, my cookies are beeping. I'll get back to that in a second. I'm going to leave mine in another minute or two. Okay. So what I'm doing is every Wednesday, and I think I may push tomorrow to Thursday. So starting at the end of September, every Wednesday for 12 weeks, I'm introducing a cookie that you could use to make for, your cookie box or to give, or or whatever. So I'm doing my 12 weeks of cookies, and I think we are on number 4. This week will be number 4. So there's some good ones coming. Anything else? I see the chat. Is that the chat box? Like it's like got the number 20 on it.
Oh, because you didn't click on it.
Oh, okay.
Once you
okay.
click on it, they all start to pop down.
Gotcha. Okay.
I put in the chat about your next program about the Bouche de
Oh,
Noël.
now I see. Oh, yeah. Now I see it.
And I also put your Instagram handle and Facebook on there too. People want to follow you. Oh, one new message. Will you be doing the 3-layer cookies, Neapolitan or Venetians?
It's not one of them that I'm doing, just because there's like there's not too many ways to do that one, and there's so many recipes out there online that are almost identical. So if you find a good one that you're making, I've been working on actually different flavors, so I'm tweaking a lot of them, so not ready with those yet.
And Connie mentioned there's so many steps involved in making them.
Out of the oven, you can see them. So the other thing, I think I put in the instructions. So for the pine nuts, you want them raw. You don't want to pre-toast them, because when they cook in the oven, they're going to get nice and toasted on the cookie. So you don't want to burn them by toasting them before you bake them. So these are good. Let's see. Yeah, the bottoms are just slightly brown. The tops aren't as brown. And is anyone else taking theirs out of the oven yet?
Well, I did, but they were it looked like they were brown on the bottom, but the dough wasn't really cooked yet, so I left them in another 2 minutes. Hopefully they don't burn.
Did you like move them up in the oven, not so close to the bottom?
Right now, yes. Oh, they're coming out now. Let's see. Okay, I moved them up and we'll see what happens. I'll do another minute.
Okay, so the one I did where I'll show you one that I rolled in. You can
Okay,
see how many nuts are on there, if everybody can see that.
I see. Yes, they look beautiful. Great.
This one is the one I just kind of sprinkled. It's a little sparser than the other one. I like a lot of nuts on mine.
Too,
So
yeah.
then we can, break.
Yeah, the one you rolled it in looks delicious.
So they're a little soft now because they're hot. Let them cool off. Let them cool off. Make sure you remember how long you bake them. When they cool off, taste them. If you like yours crunchier, the next time leave them in a little longer. If you like them chewier, just leave them in a minute or two less. And that should be it.
Wow.
And when they cool, you could put a little powdered sugar on them. You don't have to.
I always thought they were so much more difficult to make though. They're not.
No, they're really not. I'm gonna eat all the nuts that fell off on the pan now.
So that's it, right? That's
That's it. No, what is it? Like 340, see? And you can make your almond paste a day before, a week before. Again, just make sure that it's really wrapped really well. I mean, just like double and triple wrap it. Wrap it in the plastic, put it in a Ziploc bag, stick it in a Tupperware or, plastic container, airtight. You should be good.
okay.
So, yeah.
And does anyone else have any other questions? I know Connie was putting in her cookies for another 2 minutes. Looks like
So,
she's taking
I
them
mean,
out.
a lot of cookies that I have that I'm putting out are very good frozen. You can freeze them and take them out and bake them, so they're really good to make ahead. These are probably one of the only ones that I make that you really have to make them the day before or 1 or 2 days, before. There's something you have to, if you're making like a cookie box to give to friends, for the holidays, this would probably be the last one you would make. Like make it the night before.
Oh, there they are. Connie's showing
So
us
how
the
long-
cookie.
How long does it have to cool on the tray before
How
you
do they
put
look?
mine?
Let me see if I can,
Well, I don't know if you can see, but they're a little mushy to be putting on the Can you see?
let me see. Oh, I've got another one. Somebody else is showing theirs.
Good.
Was
Elizabeth
that Elizabeth?
and Connie, yeah. Elizabeth's in the red.
See?
Connie, Elizabeth, how'd yours come out?
You see?
Yeah, are you happy with them?
Yes,
Mine are great.
have to cool on the cookie tray before you put them to a rack.
You can take them off. I mean, you could let them sit for 2 or 3, 4 minutes and
That's
then
right.
move them to the tray, to move them to a rack to cool completely.
All right.
Mine came out great. I didn't have any pine nuts, so they look a little naked, but
Oh, you know what you could do too? If for some reason someone doesn't like pine nuts, get the really thin slivered almonds and roll them in those.
right.
Mm.
That's
Well,
another, I mean, because your almond, I mean, you're just adding on to the almond flavor.
Right. I've seen it with cherry in the middle too.
Yes, yeah.
And
Like just cut it like a half of a maraschino cherry and stick it in there. Yep.
Donna said you're amazing. She missed the
Oh, thank you,
beginning.
Donna.
So at the beginning, she was asking, it's almond sugar to make the paste?
No, it's just almond flour. Almond flour, or they'll just call it ground almonds, like here. Almond flour, blanched. And these are the ones that the skins are off before they grind them up. Bob's Red Mill makes them. King Arthur Flour makes them. This one I got at Costco. So you can find them. And if you're in the regular supermarket, you'll probably find them down, like there's a specialty aisle usually, like gluten-free. And that's another thing about these cookies. If you have someone that's gluten-free by choice or not, or they just can't, handle the gluten, these are gluten-free. No regular flour in them.
And if you use a sugar substitute, I mean, powdered sugar is really,
I think you could, they're making some really good ones now. I know that there's regular sugar substitutes, brown sugar substitutes. I'm not sure if there's a powdered sugar one yet. But yeah. So you can find, I mean, it's pretty readily available in the supermarket now. But again, it's probably down that specialty aisle where you find all the Bob's Red Mill stuff. You'll find like all the different non-regular flours, like the chickpea flour, coconut flour, almond flour. So that's probably where it would be. Whole Foods, definitely you'll get it at. But I've seen it in like regular Stop and Shop and ShopRite and pretty much anywhere. Trader Joe's has their own brand too. So it's pretty much all over now.
and your recipes on your website?
I haven't put this one up yet. I was waiting for the class to end, so. But did everybody get an email to them?
Yes.
I didn't.
Okay.
And can you make it if you put it in a Vitamix into powdered or no?
I'm sorry.
It says, can you make it if you put in Vitamix into the sugar substitute? If you put it,
Oh yes, you can put it, if you have a Vitamix, they're fantastic. You could put regular granulated sugar substitute in there and until it gets to a powder in order to make it. Should work. I haven't tried it, but it sounds like it should work, because that's how you make like super fine sugar or powdered sugar. That's pretty much what it is. Yeah, if you can get it to a powdery consistency, you should be fine.
very nice. Good to know.
And
So
just
gluten-
weigh it. A scale is so key. they're not that expensive. You can get them on Costco for like $20. You get them on Amazon. Get a good kitchen scale and weigh out your ingredients. I mean, it really will make a difference. Because there are days where you might scoop that flour just a little more vigorously than the day before, and you're going to end up with too much flour. The day before, too little flour. So invest in a scale. And I have on my website, I have some conversions for you. Like 1 cup of flour is 120 grams. 1 cup of sugar is 200 grams. 1 whole egg white is 30 grams. So if that, helps you can go take a look on there. And you can also find that information on the website. And I use mostly King Arthur flour, and they have all their weights per cup on their website. You can find that information there.
Connie said her cookies taste delicious. Thank you for sharing your
That's
recipe.
good. Yay!
So,
Yay!
if anyone wants to unmute, you can also unmute if you have a question. I know a few people joined us late. We are recording the program, and it'll be on our YouTube channel. Probably
Have the recipe, right?
days. And they should have the recipe. I know some people may have signed up this afternoon or today. You may not have gotten the recipe. I will resend it to everybody to make sure that you have it, because I sent it, I think, on Monday, so people would have time to get ingredients. Yeah.
I put it out there on my stories, and actually I put it on my Instagram, I want to say yesterday. And then someone I know actually shared it to her stories today. So.
Yeah, so.
It's dangerous. I love these. Oh my God, I could eat every single one here. I really could.
They're
that's
delicious. Thank you.
the hard part of baking, right? You have all these temptations.
I give away or so.
These are usually a big hit at Christmas time, especially.
Oh, always.
And now that you've given me this good recipe, I'll have a little more success.
Did you go to the bakery? Nope. You can tell everybody you made them yourself.
Right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Somebody, Donna suggested that you need a delivery, I guess like a delivery service. And many compliments here. And Donna made them for
Thank you,
Easter.
everybody, so much. I tell you, I have so much fun doing these. I really do. I wish the only thing that would make it better is if it was in person. So I get to meet everybody. So, but we're getting there, right? We're getting, hopefully maybe the springtime.
Yeah, I think everybody's looking forward to that.
I think so.
But we will have Tina back December 8th at 3 p.m., sorry, and you will be able to make another festive holiday dessert. And hopefully in 2021, you'll be back as well. And if we'll start off on Zoom, and then maybe we can switch on to on-site. What's really nice though, if on-site, we don't get the people from Connecticut and maybe Bedford and Michigan and all of that. So.
I can't really bake anything on site, right?
No, we've always sort of managed, and you've been very good about showing us how to make the cookies and then having to bake them on our own, which has also been fun. That was also a lot of fun.
I did the when I did the cream puffs, right? I did cream puffs,
and
that was good because I just needed you guys had the hot plate, and then I brought them already baked.
Yeah.
Right? To show the product.
Piping and all of that, and then we did the shortbread cookies. We mixed everything. You were great with bringing everything, and you'll also be giving programs at the Westchester Italian Cultural Center. Is that, am I reading?
I haven't actually approached them yet to ask them if they want to do something. So that's kind of my next thing. I am doing a class. It's a fee. It's a $15 fee. I'm doing first week in November. I'm doing a pumpkin roulade, similar to the Bush de Noel, but pumpkin with a white chocolate mousse filling, kind of as a something different than pumpkin pie for Thanksgiving. I'm doing that through the Bronxville Adult School. So they charge for that. So it would be $15 to sign up for that. And you can get, you'll get the recipe ahead of time and you can bake along and whatever if you choose. So it's BronxvilleAdultSchool.org is their website.
And
I try, and mine turned out delicious. Thank you so much.
Oh, good. Oh, I'm so glad. That makes me so happy.
I have some happy 20-year-olds in my house, so thank you.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And also, I see that you're giving a class in March at the Westchester Community College.
Yes.
That
Okay. So
correct?
I'm doing something part of Taste of Westchester. It's where, and there's really tons of great classes too for that. It's run by a woman. Her name is Donna, and on Instagram she's Donna Dishes, and she runs events in different restaurants all over like Westchester and Fairfield. And you pay a fee, and usually if it's at a restaurant they'll cook the dish for you, and you'll get a little sample, or some of them give you a glass of wine. So it's a really fun night. So I'm still figuring out. It's probably going to be virtual, and we might figure something out because there is a fee where you can purchase the ingredients for what I'm going to be making, and we're still kind of working on figuring that out right now.
I've done that before. I've done the restaurants before. I haven't done the virtual. Now that I know,
great. They're such great programs. They really are.
A great restaurant. So maybe if it's virtual, I'll do that too. Thank you.
I think it is going to be virtual at that point still. And I think they're not going to start like in restaurant stuff until maybe like May. I'm not sure, but I'm in March. So that's kind of probably the tail end of the virtual stuff. Hopefully we'll keep our fingers crossed.
Yes, hopefully.
So we did have a few people join us late, so we're pretty much done with the program, but it has been recorded. We're happy to share it on YouTube. And if you did sign up today, I will send you the recipe. I'll send it to everybody, so you might get it twice, but just as well. And you'll have Tina Zaccardi's pine nut cookies. Do you call them pine nut or almond cookies?
Pignolis.
Pignoli.
I think say pine nut and
right. Pignoli.
It's really funny because you say pine nut, and they're like a specific, I think, come from a specific pine tree. My grandmother actually used to find the cones on Arthur Avenue, and she'd put them in the oven, and they'd roast, and they'd open up, and there'd be these pine nuts in them. It was fascinating. It's hard, I don't know where to find those anymore. I think maybe when it gets toward the holidays, you might be able to find those, and you can roast them, and they open up. The pine cone actually opens up, and you can pick out the nuts.
That's really from scratch. Well, thank you very much, Tina, for doing this program for us.
Always such a pleasure. Thank you guys for joining and for participating.
Okay, so we'll see you next time in December. In the meantime, everyone stay safe. Stay safe, and happy baking.
Happy baking, everybody.
Happy baking. Okay, bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.